What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Fight Out podcast. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Obviously, the weekend we've just had UFC 311, which I thought was an absolutely unreal card, to say the truth. How it played out, some big fights, some big wins. I got some right on my predictions, which were very good shouts. I got some not so right on my predictions, which is I was well off. So as always, the UFC delivered. So without any more, let's dive in. We'll start at the top of the card with obviously the main event, Islam versus Renato Moicano. In the end, my prediction was done for the Arman fight. So obviously it was uploaded earlier in the week. Arman pulled out, Friday night it was. I was sat down having my tea, and Mike texted me to say Arman's out. I thought he was winding me up. So Renato Moicano jumped in, but my prediction, what I actually said, is what happened. So I thought more or less what he done to Moicano, Islam was going to do to Saudi Fiend, to be honest with you. Not as quick, nowhere near as quick, but I did think that Islam was going to get the sub. And he did get the sub, but the fight was different. I did bet on the sub. I'd say I'll talk through my bet in a minute because it was actually a very good shout. But in hindsight, I should have just done a treble. I would have had a nice winning treble, to be honest with you. And it would have been up big. But main event, Islam obviously broke the lightweight record, 4 title defenses, broke Khabib's record. Obviously, Khabib's his coach. I mean, I said, Islam for me right now, I know he's talking about moving up to welterweight and even potentially middleweight. I texted my other mate before the fight. I said I could see Islam moving up to middleweight over welterweight if Bilal stays the champ. Because I don't think Khabib wants them two to fight each other, and I can't see that fight happening, to be honest. I think if Islam fights at 170, someone else is the champ. But, I could be wrong about that. But Islam right now at lightweight, in my opinion, is two fights away. He's already, the greatest lightweight of all time. I don't think you can really argue against that. But right now, if he stops now or moves up to welterweight or anything like that and doesn't fight again at lightweight, his record at lightweight is beatable in terms of the future. If Islam fights, in my opinion, 2 more times, which would mean he'd have 6 title defenses, and he fights obviously Arman, which I know Dana said that's not the next fight. So the next fight is another one. I know it doesn't quite make sense, but I can't help but feel like Charles Oliveira deserved a rematch after the initial Islam fight because of how long he was champ. The reign he had, the way he got it took away from him on the scale, won it back, fought Islam, no problem. Give Islam the shot when he didn't, I'd talked about that, where he didn't necessarily deserve it, where he was ranked and stuff like that. But since then, you cannot fault what Islam has done. I just think that fight, if Islam goes out there and dominates Charles, fair enough. That's done. That'll probably be Charles done as well in the UFC, to be honest, because what else is there for him to do? But I think if he fights an Oliveira or somebody else and then fights Arman, he won't be touched at lightweight. He'll be the lightweight GOAT for a long, long time. Whereas if he goes now, or like I said, moves up to welterweight, I feel like that record that he's got is very, very good. And he definitely still is the best of all time at lightweight. But I think it's catchable. I think if someone comes in and has a good stint at lightweight, it is doable. I think his record's far superior to Khabib's, in my opinion. Khabib had Conor and Gaethje on there, and obviously Poirier as well, but Islam's fought Poirier. But I just think the lead up to being champ, when he was getting finish after finish, and then since then he's also had more or less finish after finish. I think the only one he's gone to a decision with that I can remember is Volk the first time, which is very, very close. But if I'm not mistaken, I think that got Fight of the Year or nominated for Fight of the Year. So, he's finishing people in different ways. The last 2 finishes are obviously the same as well, which is just even hilarious in itself. He's literally finished the last 2 fights via Darce choke. And the commentary team, once he had it in, just said it's done. And you just knew right away. You were like, wow, this fight's over. He is definitely the GOAT at lightweight. I just think for him to cement a legacy, stay down, have a couple more fights is all you need, and no one can really catch you unless they have a good stint at lightweight. Obviously, he's definitely going to fight again because he's going to Ty Anderson Silva's record, and then I reckon he'll fight again to beat it. So I reckon we have got 2 more out of him. I just hope that at lightweight. I'll be honest, I don't want to see the Ilya fight. Not yet, anyway. I think Ilya's got work to do at featherweight, and I think Islam has definitely got at least 1 more at lightweight. Which should, if it's not Arman, if Dana's saying it's not Arman, then maybe it's someone else, and then Arman, if Arman obviously gets a win. But I don't want to see that Ilya fight yet. Ilya's got definitely work to do down there. I also don't want to see Islam move up because I want him to really cement that lightweight. But what a fight. What a performance. You cannot knock him at all. Short notice. As much for Moicano as it was for Islam, it's still short notice. It's still a change of opponents. And he just said, no problem. You've got to tip your hat to that. You've got to respect that. Moving into the co-main event, I was banging on the first podcast that I thought, Merab was crazy value for money. I couldn't see why he was that big of a dog, to be honest. And he got the job done. I had Islam sub. I had Merab to win. They were quite nice odds. Unfortunately for me, I did have Jamal Hill. And in the end, I actually decided against going for Kevin Holland. I just didn't touch that fight at all. And I had Grant Dawson on it. So obviously, it was Jamal Hill that let me down there. If I'd have just done the treble without the Yuri fight, which I actually was debating at one point, it still would have been nice odds. But moving into the Merab fight anyway, again, what a performance. What a performance from Merab. His cardio is literally something else. Now, when I was watching it Saturday night, or the early hours Sunday morning, shall I say, you know what I mean, if you're watching this from the UK, I thought at the end of round 2 that Umar looked knackered. He looked very, very tired, I thought, toward the end of round 2, not even round 3. And I remember thinking at the time, I've never seen Umar that tired, where, Umar can keep a pace, he stays active. I know Merab's a completely different pace. But at the time, I thought, if he's tired now, this is going to go very bad, very quick, because I had Umar 2 up. He's come out afterwards, obviously, about his hand. Now, breaking your hand, okay, his hand looks broken, can't dispute that. When it was done, we don't know. But also, that wouldn't necessarily make you tired. He was very visibly tired, I thought, and especially in round 3. And then 4, he looked more or less dead on his feet. The only knock I've got on this fight, and I haven't really seen anyone say it, is that I think Merab took his foot off the gas in round 5. I really thought it was almost like he didn't want to finish him, because in round 4, he looked like he was going to finish him, potentially in round 4. And when he didn't in round 4, I thought this fight's going to be over here in round 5 and Merab's going to get a finish and it's going to look even better. It seemed to me like he coasted. I don't know if he thought he was rounds up or like he come out after it, obviously didn't even said about his back and his leg and stuff. Maybe Merab was also very compromised by the end of the fight and he thought, I need to just take it easy here and not necessarily lose. But that was my only knock on the fight. Other than that, I thought the performance was brilliant. To go 2-0 down, basically, and I think he would have felt that because his corner are honest with him. I feel like, I can't remember seeing if they said it or not, but I feel like they would have said, look, you're down. We need big championship rounds here from well, obviously you won round 3 and then going into 4 and 5, they would have said, we need big championship rounds. You're down here. I can't see the case for Umar win, but I've seen a few fighters online, which is quite interesting. Because it seems to only be fighters that are pushing the narrative. Bilal is one. Obviously, he knows the camp, so maybe there's a little bit there. I seen Gilbert Burns had Umar 3-0 up, and then he said he had Merab the last 2, so that is 3-2. Again, so he had it. There was a couple of other fighters that I seen. Manel Cape, he had Umar winning, and I thought that's interesting that fighters are seeing it that way. Now, some of them are, in the sort of Nurmagomedov camp or friends with them or whatever, but it's interesting that fighters see it that way. I wonder if there's a difference, because obviously, I'm not a fighter at all. I wonder if there's a difference the way that fighters see a fight. I mean, obviously there is, but I mean in terms of scoring, I wonder if they see fights scored differently, and that's why you sometimes see fighters coming out saying, "Oh, I've been robbed," and you're like, you weren't robbed, it was a close fight, but you lost. But they're very certain on the fact that they feel like they've been robbed. So maybe there is something to that. Obviously, that's a whole video in itself, and I'd actually like to get someone on to talk about that. But for me, I can't see the case for Umar winning. Now, Merab's in a quite unique position, really, because I fancied him to win, but I don't know what I was expecting, but I just didn't expect him to look that good. He's come out of that fight, and it's almost like you're looking at the division thinking, who the hell do you match up with him? O'Malley was meant to get the rematch, and he was cage side. O'Malley didn't come into the cage. I don't know if he was meant to or not, but I mean, are the UFC sitting there thinking we're not putting O'Malley in with him because that could be the end of Sean O'Malley. You know, he's not a big bantamweight. He's tall, but he's not heavy. It's not like he can move up to featherweight necessarily and be comfy in there. I think he's probably too big for 125. So bantamweight is Sean O'Malley, most likely. If he's lost twice to the champion at bantamweight, bearing in mind he's one of the biggest stars in the UFC and they want to keep him a star, what happens to his star power there? I know he doesn't need the money, but he definitely likes fighting. He definitely wants to fight. And the UFC want him to fight. You know, the starving for stars, the UFC still, I believe. And I think maybe they just thought, you know, now is not the moment to decide this, but maybe O'Malley's not next. Maybe there's somebody else that's next. I've seen talk of Pantoja moving up from 25. I mean, he's got cardio problems down there, and I've always thought he's a lot smaller than the 35. He's probably a similar height to Merab, but Merab's stiff, Pantoja's quite skinny. I think there'd be a big size difference there. And I don't want to see, I don't like the crossover fights, you know, too many of them. I think you've got to really earn it. Now, Pantoja's doing good work down there, but I don't think Merab's the fight for him. But that kind of draws my mind a blank right now. Like, who is next for Merab? It was meant to be O'Malley. It was meant to be an O'Malley rematch. And there's not been a peep said about it, and O'Malley didn't come in the cage. Let Merab obviously, you know, enjoy his victory, heal up and stuff, but I think that bantamweight division's in a very weird spot, to tell you the truth. There's no one that jumps out at me like, oh yeah, you know, that's the fight that I want to see, or that's clearly who's next. Now, it might change in the coming days. Someone might throw a name out there, or there might be, you know, a win coming down the line where you're like, okay, that's who's next thing. You know, that's what we're after here. But right now, I really don't know what you do with Merab. And again, you don't want to see him moving up or anything like that. It's a unique one. But fantastic win. I wish I would have just done Merab Islam double even, or you know, maybe the treble with Grant Dawson or someone else on the card. But either way, what a co-main and main event. Tip me hat off to both of them. Now, moving into what I call the people's main events before the fight, you know, the sort of Paddy the Baddy slot. Yuri against Jamal. I thought Yuri looked very, very good. To be honest, Jamal had him earth, I thought, once or twice. I can't remember if it was round one. I thought he buzzed him a couple of times. But the fight always looked like it was going Yuri's way. And to finish Jamal Hill as well, I thought was very, you know, impressive, as well as kind of a statement. Now, obviously, they've just announced Ankalaev against Pereira. So, you know, it's not like Yuri's walking into a title shot anyway. But I would like to see him have one more anyway. You know, he's lost the chance twice. I know it was short notice, but he's lost to him twice. You know, jumping back in, there was talk of Yuri going down to middleweight before this fight. So I think, you know, he kind of had 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Now he's in like quite a good spot again. I'd like to see him have one more, you know, get a couple of wins strung together. And then, fair enough, you know, to be fair, because he is top of the food chain. If he does that, at that stage, let's talk, you know, title fights and things like that. Jamal Hill, I don't know what's next for him. I think he's just going to be one of them where he's going to kind of probably sit out now, you know, a good 6 months or so. Wait to see a few other fights play out, wait to see who loses in the division, who wins in the division, that kind of thing, and then go from there. Because let's say Pereira beats Ankalaev, I think that's March 8th, I think it is. Ankalaev against Yuri then could be a good fight, and that's a very tough fight for Yuri. So if he wins that, you know, he's beat kind of the number one contender that everyone's touted to beat Pereira. Then he moves on to the title fight. If Ankalaev manages to pull it off against Pereira, I don't know if I want to see Yuri Pereira 3 if it's not for a belt, but there must be somebody there that, you know, Yuri could then fight, and then all of a sudden he's got a title fight again, but it's against a new champion. So it makes sense. You know, the UFC chops and changes like Game of Thrones, so it wouldn't be surprising if something mad happens, you know, in the next few months, where all of a sudden you're talking Yuri title shot picture, you know, you're talking mega fights, super fights, all that kind of stuff. And yeah. Before that, obviously there was the heavyweights. I thought Almeida looked brilliant. Really, really good. Was very impressed by that. A really good fight on the card. The main card I thought was very good. Really, really good. Like one of them where as you're watching it, you're really building up. Then Yuri gets the finish. Then Merab and Umar goes to a decision, but it's probably that was such a good fight. Like sometimes, I think I mentioned it on the pod. I mentioned it somewhere that the co-main and main events when it was Armin Islam as well, they're that good of fights on paper. Like the fighters are that good. The fights could be boring. That was especially with styles as well. Particularly the co-main, I was worried about, and it was just the complete opposite. Obviously, Kevin Holland kicked off the card against Renier de Ridder. I wrote off Renier de Ridder again. Same way I did Dricus du Plessis, and he come out looking good. Now, I don't know what's up with Kevin Holland. He hasn't looked right, in my opinion, in there. I've seen people online saying like he made the money against Kamzat and said he was going to retire, and basically now he's just fighting for money. I mean, you know what? Even if he is, okay, but have a go. He just, once Renier was in there with him, he looked for a way out, I thought, almost. But Renier looked really good. I puts him in a good spot there. But the main card as a whole, I thought it was outstanding to, kick off the new year in terms of pay-per-view. The next pay-per-view card, however, more on paper, it doesn't look the best. I think the fights have really got to over-deliver for it to be, good. This one, you did feel like it was going to be good because it had some really good fights on paper, and they all definitely delivered. For me now, I'd like to see everybody stay in their own division. I don't want to see anyone moving up, moving down, fighting up for different belts or anything like that. I want to see everyone stay in the current divisions that they're in. And I want to see Islam cement himself as the best lightweight of all time. And go from there. I mean, for Islam now, let's say Dan Hooker beats Justin Gaethje. Islam loves a rematch, and Dan Hooker's on a complete resurgence. And I think this time round, that fight would be very, very, high paced, very good. A very good on the eyes kind of fight. If you'd ask me now, I would think it'd be Islam, no question. But as a fight, I feel like that would be one of those fights that actually really delivers. Because Dan Hooker is game as they come. He's probably the most nuts one in there. For Merab, I honestly just don't know what's next. I don't think I want to see the O'Malley fight yet. I'd like to see O'Malley get a win. It's not like he was long reigning champ or anything like that. He had one title defense against Cheeto. Obviously he's a massive star, but I think stylistically Merab's a nightmare for him. Do I want to see Umar against Sean O'Malley? Maybe. That could be one, actually, just thinking out loud there. It could be a nice one to watch because Umar's got a nice kickboxing style. Obviously O'Malley's clearly a striker. And I think, that actually could be a good match, come to think of it. But then again, and then does the winner of that then maybe fight Merab or something like that? But if Umar wins, I don't know, it gets a little bit complicated. But yeah, I'd like to see everyone stay in their own divisions. It's funny because there's not a lot of clear fights right now in the UFC. So it's almost waiting for someone to just come out and have a good performance. I'd love to be a fly on the wall in that meeting tomorrow with Dana and the matchmakers and hear them saying, like, who's next for Islam? Who's next for Merab? What's next for O'Malley? When's Conor coming back? When's this happening? When's that happening? I'd love to be a fly on the wall for that meeting. Because McGregor's at the Trump inauguration, or however you say it. Obviously Dana's there, Joe Rogan's there, no doubt they're going to talk. And he's going to say, look, I've got all this stuff going on in Ireland. I need something to occupy my mind. Get me a fight. And if there's nothing coming down the pipe, the UFC will book Conor. Obviously, last year they clearly knew about all this and they knew what was coming. And that's why it was kind of like they never thought he was going to fight and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, what a weekend. UFC 311 definitely over-delivered, in my opinion. Really good performances. Islam's the GOAT. I told you, Merab. Forget about what else I said with the other picks. I told you, Merab. Couldn't believe the odds when I seen it. But obviously, let me know if you agree with what I've said. Let me know if you had a different view. Maybe some of you thought Umar won. Maybe some of you are thinking, no, there is a clear fight for Merab. Maybe some of you don't like Islam. Let me know in the comments below. Like I said, please remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more of these videos. We've got a lot coming. We've got a schedule set up. Every pay-per-view card, we're going to be doing these breakdowns after shows. If anything happens in the sport big, we'll be jumping on, talking about it. Trying to get some more interviews lined up as well. And obviously we've got UFC London that we're going to. So, like I said, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know if you agree with our opinions, and we'll see you in the next one.